Okay, we'll now open the regular school board meeting for the month of June for District 518. Call to order. Let the record reflect all members are here tonight. 1.2, recognition of visitors and guests. Thanks for the big crowd we have on hand here tonight. 1.3, the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge of allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, 1.4, correspondence and recognition for public participation. I don't believe we have any, but we do still read the statement. So at the beginning of each board meeting, we provide members of the public with the opportunity to address the school board. Community input is encouraged and welcomed. Input must be informal in nature. Address the entire board rather than one particular member and will be limited to a maximum of 5 minutes in length. The Board of Education cannot engage in discussion or debate, but will take the information for review and direct it to the appropriate district employee to respond. But once again, we don't have no, right? Okay, so 1.4.2, recognition of students, staff, and community. Learning Center Cookout, thank you to the Rock Nobles Cattlemen for providing delicious grilled hamburgers for the Learning Center students and staff to enjoy for lunch. We appreciate their generosity and support. Big South Tennis Conference, congratulations to Dalen Sithad on being named to the Big South All-American Boys Tennis Team. Graduation celebration, District 518 proudly celebrated graduation events at the Community Education, Preschool, the Learning Center, and Worthington High School. Congratulations to all graduates and their families. New website and app launch. District 518's new website and mobile app have officially soft launched. Testing is currently underway with summer school staff, marching band participants, and community education staff. Feedback has been positive as updates and improvements continue. Trojan softball complex groundbreaking. Construction continues on the new Trojan softball complex following the official groundbreaking ceremony. Progress is moving quickly and the new city concession and restroom building is also taking shape. Big South honorable mention. Congratulations to Emma Heatbrink for earning Big South honorable mention honors in softball. Minnesota State track meet success. 3 Trojan athletes represented Worthington at the Minnesota State track meet. Austin Kinzer got 5th place, 400 meter dash. Talai Gox, 6th place, 110 meter hurdles. Caleb Meyer, 8th grade, boys high jump. Congratulations on an outstanding season and state level performance. Okay. Moving on, 2.0, approval of the agenda. I need a motion to approve the consent and main agendas.
So moved.
Motion by Lori, seconded by Matt. All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion passes. 3.0, approval of minutes. Approval of last month's school board meeting and committee meeting minutes. Do I have a motion to approve minutes?
So move.
Motion by Matt.
Second.
Seconded by Ann. All those in favor of the approval of the minutes, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion passes. 4.0, consent agenda. Do I have a motion to approve the items under the consent agenda?
So moved.
Motion by Ann. Do I have a second?
Second.
Seconded by Aaron. All those in favor of the items under the consent agenda, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion passes. 5.0 main agenda, 5.1 monthly financial overview. Carmen?
You have in front of you the revenues and expenditures for the period ending May 31st of 2026. Our revenues are on target. We're at 93.44% of collecting revenues that we had budgeted. There's, a few things coming in there yet. A few of the state ideas reports, just some odd things like that, and then just some of our general dollars that will be coming in for that month of June. The expenditures, we are at 86.98% of our budgeted numbers. The main things coming in yet there will be our payrolls. We have the June payrolls, and then we have summer payoffs. So those are the things coming up yet for expenditures, and then also some of our construction expenditures that we've seen have got a couple small ones, but some of the larger ones that we were expecting to have yet in June, we haven't got yet. So, but overall, our budget is on target.
Okay, any questions for Carmen? None. Okay, moving on. 5.2, approve the second final reading of policies 410, 503, 515, 530, 615, and 701. Joel.
Sure, and just as a reminder, these policies have gone through committee twice. Went through last month's board meeting, all without further discussion or recommendation for change. Changes include updates due to changes in law with some of the policies. Some of them is verbiage from MSBA that need to be changed, and one of the policies, again, has such substantive changes that we are adopting the full policy. So we are looking for final approval tonight to move forward with those policies.
Do I have a motion to approve the second and final reading of the listed policies?
So move.
Motion by Matt, seconded by Lori. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor of the final readings of policies 410, 503, 515, 530, 615, and 701, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Okay, 5.3, approve tax abatement resolution number 1. Do I have a motion to approve the tax abatement?
So moved.
Motion by Ann. Do I have a second?
Second.
Seconded by Aaron. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, roll call vote.
Ms. Dudley. Aye. Ms. Agard.
Aye.
Ms. Shute.
Aye.
Ms. Mills.
Aye.
Mr. Bloom.
Aye.
Mr. Parrish.
Aye.
Mr. Woodboom.
Aye.
Motion passes. 5.4, approve tax abatement resolution number 2. Do I have a motion to approve resolution number 2?
So moved.
Motion by Aaron. Do I have a second?
Second.
Seconded by Eric. Is there any further discussion? Roll call vote.
Ms. Dudley. Aye. Ms. Agard.
Aye.
Ms. Shute.
Aye.
Ms. Mills.
Aye.
Mr. Bloom.
Aye.
Mr. Parrish.
Aye.
Mr. Woodboom.
Aye.
Motion passes. Okay, 5.5, approve education identity and access management board resolution.
Yeah, this is giving me the authority from the board to then provide further authority to members of our team access into the secure MDE site that allows us to do our daily business and approvals. And so looking for your yearly approval again to give me the authority to allow our team to do their work.
Do I have a motion to approve the education identity and access management board resolution?
So moved.
Motion by Ann. Do I have a second?
Second.
Seconded by Lori. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor of the motion, say aye.
No, it's a roll call vote.
Oh, it is roll call, sorry.
Ms. Dudley.
Aye.
Ms. Agard.
Aye.
Ms. Shute.
Aye.
Ms. Mills.
Aye.
Mr. Bloom.
Aye.
Mr. Parrish.
Aye.
Mr. Woodboom.
Aye.
Motion passes. Okay, 5.6, approve student expulsion.
Yeah, in front of you, you were provided information regarding a situation that happened in one of our schools. A student violated one of the pieces within the student handbook and in the code of conduct regarding behavior in our sites. And our building administrators worked with families to come up with a specific plan for this student in how we will educate them outside of the normal learning space next school year.
Do we have a motion to approve student expulsion?
So moved.
Motion by Ann. Do I have a second? Do I have a second?
Second.
Seconded by Matt. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor of the motion, say aye. Well, that's a roll call too. Sorry.
Ms. Dudley. Aye. Ms. Agard.
Aye.
Ms. Shute.
Aye.
Ms. Mills.
Aye.
Mr. Bloom.
Aye.
Mr. Parrish.
Aye.
Mr. Woodboom.
Aye.
Motion passes. Okay, 5.7, approve the 2027 summer projects.
Thank you, and I appreciate Jeff Elstead from SiteLogic joining us again this evening in the event that there are any further questions from our board. But we are looking again for final approval. The scope of the projects, I'll let Jeff walk through those. And Jeff, if you'd like me to pull up, I can also access to walk through too, so just let me know.
Totally up to you. I'll walk through, and if there are questions more specifically, maybe then we can pull it up if necessary. So there will be projects that we'll be engaged in next summer, the biggest one being the roof replacement here at the high school. The largest section, probably 80% of the roof will be replaced. Some of it is original to the building and will just needs replacing. So that will be the largest project that you'll be looking at taking action later this meeting on the funding source for that. We'll also be doing and replacing the window walls both on the east and west side of the north wing of the high school. They're in disrepair, inefficient at this point, and so those two window wall units are being replaced. We're also going to be replacing the windows at Prairie Elementary. Likewise, those are original to the building and showing where some moisture is starting to seep in through the windows, and so it's important to replace those. The interior doors in the north wing of the high school as well, many of them have been repaired a number of times and just need to be taken care of to replace. For security as well. There are 3 air handling units at the middle school that we will be replacing. All 3 of them are well past their expected life. They're numbered 10, 11, and 12. There are, as you can imagine, more than that, but those 3 are the ones that are probably needing the replacement at this time. And the only additional item that we're going to be working with is we do have a short-term solution at the middle school in the softball field. One of the light standards has been tipping over. We're doing a short-term solution to kind of shore it up this summer, but we want to explore what might be the rationale for further damage to those light poles. So we are doing some soil sampling and things at the middle school just to make sure that we can identify a more permanent solution so that that's something that doesn't happen again. So those are the projects that were vetted by administration, went through our assessment process, and we feel are the best projects moving forward to kind of keep up with the deferred maintenance. So.
With the middle school project, we'd be kind of looking at the whole aspect of what we could do in the future.
Yes.
That whole thing.
Yeah, yeah, and that was based upon Joel's recommendation too. So we'll be doing soil sampling kind of all over the place there. But are you talking about the building itself too, or just
The fields are
Yeah, yeah.
getting
So
inadequate.
we're looking at those to see if there might be something that you would want to consider moving forward, if just to make sure that the drainage is right and that you're able to utilize those fields in a better way and not have them rained out all the time.
And
So.
I just wonder if the moisture ain't something to do with those light poles.
We have a suspicion that that might be the case, and so we're going to identify what might be a better way for us to make sure that they don't tip certainly for from a safety perspective, so.
Can you remind me, Jeff, the windows at Prairie, are we replacing some, all? What are
All.
we?
All of the
are
windows
being
at Prairie are being
replaced.
replaced because they're all vintage to the building itself. And so that was one of the things we called out right away, that they were in alarm condition. They're inefficient. The one thing that you might note though is that all of the windows moving forward were going to be inoperable based upon efficiencies of your systems. We've learned with other customers and other districts, and even as a former superintendent, that the more operable the windows are, the more opportunities for the building to be inefficient, but also the more opportunities for them to be left open inadvertently on a weekend and things like that that can cause some further security concerns. So that was our recommendation, to go with the inoperable windows.
I thought in a previous conversation that it was determined that only a percentage of the windows at Prairie were damaged.
That's kind of what I was remembering too, and so that's why I was asking if it was all windows or if it was some of the windows.
Right, and we had some internal discussion on that. Every window isn't causing damage, but because they're vintage, and actually when you walk the building, there actually aren't that many windows in that building. And so it was our recommendation to update them all, since we're already going to be on site and then they'll all be the same vintage year. They'll all be the same model. We just felt like it was more efficient to do it all at once.
So it's just like the classroom and the office windows then?
Correct. Yep.
Does that, since they will no longer be offerable, does that affect any kind of like fire code, exit strategy or anything?
They do not use Windows as that, no.
Okay, any other questions, guys?
Mr. Chairman, a question for Jeff, and you're just getting familiar with us, getting
Yeah.
into the planning, and as we look farther down the road, at the same time, we're planning for 27, are you putting together the 2-3-year plan?
Yes.
And is it your opinion that it's ultimately finances that holds back a district from doing projects? Or how do you help us scale priorities and budgeting and all of those
Yes.
things?
That's a great question, and the answer to funding is yes. It is always going to be a barrier to getting done what needs to be done because you just don't have access to infinite sources of cash to do that. What we try to do is mitigate what we call big spikes in your deferred maintenance. So if you look at when a building is born, that you can look at 30 years out from that building being born. So your intermediate school was built just a few years ago. In 25 or 30 years, that building, all of the systems there are going to be past their expected life. And what happens is if you don't try to notch off a few of those things ahead of that, you get a big bill. And so what we try to avoid are those spikes. And so what we're doing now is we've got the 10-year LTFM plan pretty well mapped out based upon our assessment of all of your sites. And now what we're going to do is just offer up these projects to see when is the best time to do it. So we'll offer up that advice. But then it's how can we help you creatively fund it? Because our goal always is to, as we can, try to keep our hands away from taxpayers when we can. But on the other hand, there are things that need to be done, and it's responsible for a board and a school district, obviously, to mitigate, those things and take care of them because those are the facilities you've been given. So yes, we will always work ahead. In fact, we're working right now on 2028 and beyond, not only with the long-term facility maintenance, but what are some other things that are help to get to the vision. Now you're going through a strategic planning process coming up in the fall. That will be important for us to be thinking about how do we align the best sort of what we call the management of the facilities to align with the strategic vision of the district and certainly what finds agreement with the community. So yes, we've got a 2 or 3 year plan, but we'll have it pretty well planned out for 10 years beyond that point, and then offer up suggestions about things to consider and solutions to consider. So,
Thank you.
What did we ever decide, or we haven't decided, but what about that lighting? Don't we have a lighting issue? And
with LED lights.
yeah,
So there are some, and one of the things that we had talked about earlier, actually in the operations committee, we've talked a little bit about this. The staff here has been comfortable so far at just kind of replacing as you go, which is an option to do. I mean, sometimes we'll come in and we'll just knock we'll get all of it done in one summer, one month actually, get all of it done. There are advantages to that and disadvantages. The advantages are you don't have a lot of your staff time and energy tied up in doing it. The disadvantages, there's an upfront cost.
yeah.
And so it's kind of weighing that out. And as I was speaking with certainly Superintendent Heitkamp and Assistant Superintendent Noble, looking at how do we find the best way to mitigate those things, that project itself we'll take that on and do it ourselves for now. It doesn't mean that down the road, it might not be a strategy that we try to say, let's knock out a building and just be done with it. But to be honest with you, I work with a lot of school districts. Compliments to you, by the way, as a board, because I work with a lot of school districts. Your facilities are in pretty darn good shape. Pretty darn good shape. The things you're knocking out right now are responsible things to do, but you don't have any gaping holes or things that are just really a problem, And unfortunately, in other districts, they haven't been able to tackle it because they've been kicking deferred maintenance down the road. Some of them are $80 to $90 million of deferred maintenance that they'll never get to. So then they eventually just tear a building down. So anyway, long-windedly.
And Chairman Bloom, in response also to your question about the lighting, as the lighting has been coming down in the gym, some of those had been replaced with
Yeah.
LEDs. We are saving all of those.
Yep.
They're kind of, if you go down the back hallway, you can see them lined up down there already, the ones that they've taken down. And so we're preparing to repurpose those in other places again as we do some of that project on our own.
Because wasn't the high school the worst school? Or was it middle school?
Middle school.
Middle school, yeah.
Probably the one that's in greatest need. But again, I know that your staff has a plan to work on that and replace some of those this summer, so.
Any other?
If it's our staff doing the replacement, do they still qualify for that energy savings program?
No, to do that, you have to be a qualified, it's like having an electrician do it, or, you know, someone that has the right certification for energy savings projects. Site Logic started as an ESCO, which is an energy savings company, and so that's how we began as a company. So we're certified federally to do that. You have to have a certified provider to capture the federal funding.
Okay.
So, but again, there's a caveat, which is the upfront cost. And then you end up paying that back with a guaranteed energy savings project. Some districts can get it taken care of in 5 to 6 years, others it takes the full 15, depending upon the savings you achieve. So,
Any further questions for Jeff? Okay, if not, we need to need a motion to approve the 27 summer projects. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
It's a motion by Aaron. Do we have a second? Second. Seconded by Lori. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Thanks, Jeff. Okay, 5.8, approve the initial 26-27 annual budget. Ryan.
Okay, so start, the revenue is up top, general fund, 2 million down in compensatory revenue, but we had a 2.7 increase in formula funding, and then we will get some extra EL funding as well, so we'll have a decrease of 1.3% to 65.5 million. Food service, 3.5 increase in aid from our revised budget. Community service, only change there was the census numbers up for your 0 through 4 kiddos, so that'll increase your ECFP budget 40,000. So your total operating funds are at 70.9 million. Debt service, that 2017 A bond, refunding bond was retired in 26. 3.85 million will be your revenue. Trust fund, that's your scholarships and your fiduciary revenues, will be at 28,000. Construction fund, this is where Jeff's stuff comes into play here, is that 9.84 million here we'll talk about. Here on a 10-year LTFM plan, so it has your prairie roof, your high school roof, and then the 28, 29, and 30 LTFM bonding. And then you have your student activities at $210,000. You get that band trip coming up here this fall. Expenses. So we updated the salary and benefits, added the open positions, and have our finishing our other site projects. Increase of 6.1% to 62.4 million. Transportation, making some changes next year. I guess we, I don't know if Carmen or Joel want to jump in, but we're
So transportation, we're, our special ed transportation that we used to do, handle in-house with our own vehicles, we are actually going to move that to 4.0. They're going to, a contracted service. We've had multiple conversations with them and just the efficiency that they're going to provide. We don't, right now, we have multiple vehicles at sometimes going to the same household. You know, each one has, you know, 2 people in the vehicle, picking up 1 or 2 kids. We're working with them on routes and trying to create that. We still will have some staff ride like if they're talking about either doing the big bus or even some smaller buses, and we still would have staff on those with those high-need students, but just the efficiency of how they're going to operate in the routes, I think will help us in the long run. So as Ryan was doing the budget, we're not really sure what that's going to look like. Obviously, some of our costs will be lower staff-wise, but we still will have some costs, and then obviously as the routes too could go up. So I think he's kind of just doing it as a overall increase based on our contract.
A 7% increase, and we'll know more in the fall.
Yeah.
So that's 2.5 million. Capital expenditures, these are the approved capital projects we did in the spring, plus your LTFM that's not in construction. The total general fund, 66.3 million. Food service, we're going to leave at 3.7 due to some more changes we don't know yet about, if Carmen wants to talk more about it.
Yeah, as we talked about at the instructional and operations meeting, we are actually going out for an RFP for proposed for contracted service in food service. Our food service director retired. She'll be done the end of this month. And just as we went out and did job searches, we weren't finding probably the right candidate that can cover all those things, and some of the state has different requirements for us going forward. So we are looking at the option of looking at a contracted food service that can kind of help with especially that higher level of managing the food service department with the menus and the dietary needs and the special requests that some of our students have on a medical level. So we just thought that might be a path that we wanted to look at and just manage that better with a contracted service. So I'm working with the state right now. I got my preliminary request in. I just have a couple changes. We're hoping to have that approved hopefully tomorrow. And then later on in the meeting, we'll ask you guys for approval to move forward with that.
Community service, 2.2 million. Total operating funds, 72.23 million. Debt redemption, as your bond payments, 4.15 million. You can see last year we retired that 2017 A bond. Trust fund, 35,000. These are those donations spent on certain criteria like scholarships. Construction fund, this deals with your roofs and Jeff's projects he just talked about. We'll go more into depth on the 10-year plan. And then their student activities at 200,000 for total funds of 81.115 million. Shows a positive 3.768 because of the construction fund. General fund would be a $725,000 deficit at this point.
Okay, any questions for Ryan?
Where are you getting the 725,000?
So, sorry. Take your top number, general fund, 65.595, and you minus your total general fund, 66.32. So your capital expenditures, your transportation, and your general fund operating are actually all considered general fund, but we break them out here to show you those costs.
Okay, so is it most important for us to be paying attention to this general fund number or the total
The total
operating?
general fund number. The fourth line down on expenses.
Total operating fund,
Total general fund, if you're comparing the general funds.
over expenditures.
The fourth line, the one under capital expenditures,
Okay,
total general fund.
so for me as a board member, it's most important to pay attention to that total general fund and not necessarily the total operating fund.
You want both, but yes, the general fund is 90% of our fund balance, so.
Because that's what the assigned fund and unassigned fund roll into.
That's correct, yes.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, if I may, I just want to step in here in that Ryan briefly had mentioned that there is a compensatory shortfall. And so yesterday, a full district email was shared with all staff highlighting that. Again, we had shared, I believe it was the April meeting, kind of the initial thoughts of what was going to be budget implications for us moving into the next school year. And the state did come through with a minimal hold harmless, reduced our loss to about another $110,000. But we are sitting at a compensatory deficit of $2,059,000 for next year. And so we purposely waited to make any official communication on that topic until the state finalized their work. That was just over 2 weeks ago. And so we felt like we were prepared to then make that message. I just want to be clear publicly that at this time, our plan is to deficit spend into the Basic Skills Fund, which is sitting there with just over $6 million. That is money that came from compensatory dollars that was not spent in the past, that has specific tags attached to it, and how it can be used. And as we navigate the next school year, we're going to start looking at our own efficiencies and how that money gets spent throughout our entire system. I think I can safely say that this is our new normal. I think where the state is going to fund us in regard to compensatory dollars is how it's going to be. Some terms that have been thrown out at the state level is compensatory fatigue, in that they're tired of talking about a hold harmless. And the one that came through at the end of the legislative session this year was fairly minimal. And so I think it's just important for everyone to know that we have a plan on how to cover those expenses for the next year. Our team has already started looking at all the ways that those funds get used, and those funds generally get used to fund staffing positions, both licensed and non-licensed. But everybody moving into next year has a position, and as positions open, because people leave, they retire, they move, whatever it may be, our team will look at specifically what is the role of that position, how does it function best within the system, what direct impact does it have for success of students. We're going to do all of that work as we go, and again, some of that work has already started. So just wanted to make that clear. There have been individual questions that have come up to members of our team in the last days, so hopefully that can be helpful to people as well.
So with that happening and a shortfall of $725,000 in our general fund, could we possibly be looking at another round of budget cuts in the coming next couple of years?
What our hope is with the fund balance that exists with basic skills, our hope is that we can, through attrition, through, again, analyzing systems that are already in place, that we, I guess, call it cuts, call it attrition, call it what you want, is to right-size the compensatory side of our budget to make sure that we're spending within the allotment that we get from the state.
Okay. Okay, any further questions? If not, we need a motion to approve the initial budget for 26 and 27.
Move to approve.
Motion by Matt, do I have a second?
Second.
Seconded by Ann. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Okay, 5.9, approved certification of updated district population estimate resolution. Ryan.
So the Minnesota State Demographer's Office has released the 2025 district population data on June 1st. We have until the 30th to update our numbers. This would just increase our programming, 4 programs in community ed, community education, youth services, adults with disabilities, and youth after school enrichment. It was a small increase. It increased 33 from 16. Lisa, do you have it on here maybe? Increase from 16,823 to 16,856, 33 people. So slight increase in our community ed funds. And we submit this to the state probably tomorrow if it gets approved.
Okay. Do we have a motion to approve the population estimate resolution?
So moved.
Motion by Lori, do we have a second?
Second.
Seconded by Aaron. Is there any further discussion? That's a roll call vote.
Ms. Dudley.
Aye.
Ms. Agard.
Aye.
Ms. Shute.
Aye.
Ms. Mills.
Aye.
Mr. Bloom.
Aye.
Mr. Parrish.
Aye.
Mr. Whitboom.
Aye.
Motion passes. Okay, 5.10, approve out-of-state travel request. Joel?
Yeah, and I've got it projected up here for reference as we go through, but we have 3 individuals right now that have requested approval to attend the EL WIDA conference taking place in St. Louis, Missouri. There is a typo in the agenda. The dates of those trip are September 15th to September 18th, not September 29th. It's a 3-day trip. The one addition that we're asking for approval tonight is a potential 4th member going along with them. We have a recent hire. Her name is Ruth Martinez. She will be our new EL coordinator with the retirement of Sue Hagan. And with Ruth being new, we are going to propose to her when she starts on July 1st, the opportunity to attend with the group. So she would be one add that wasn't included in the board packet.
Okay, do we have a motion to approve the out-of-state travel request?
So moved.
Motion by Ann, do I have a second?
Second.
Seconded by Matt. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Okay, 5.11, approve a cooperative agreement for gymnastics with Fulda School District. Joel?
Yeah, we've been contacted by the Fulda School District that they have individuals that would like to continue their gymnastics career at the high school level. They currently do not have a high school program. This is a co-op that has existed in the past. It was dissolved when they stopped providing athletes, but they do now have some that are participating in our SWAG program, growing up through the youth gymnastics program at our community ed building, which they're able to participate in. But we do need a formal co-op with the Minnesota State High School League to allow them to compete on our high school team. And so we're looking for board approval tonight to add Fulda as participants on our gymnastics team.
How many years?
I believe it's a 2-year commitment. Gets revisited every 2 years.
I think some context there.
What's that?
Can I provide some context there from what Mr. Dale told us?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah,
Please,
so at the
please.
operations committee, he indicated that this particular athlete is one of 4 gymnasts.
Well,
It would be a family,
4 sisters.
4 sisters that are all gymnasts and would be looking to
okay.
come into the program as well.
So the reason I'm asking is, and some of you haven't been on the board since we've done this, but I know, Laura, you probably remember, there's been a lot of discussion going forward about sunsetting some of these co-ops. Because who do we have a co-op with? We got one with Fulda for this. We have one for Adrian with hockey and Round Lake Brewster for hockey. We have a lot of co-ops, right?
There's a handful, yeah. On the sports that the smaller schools aren't able to field the team on their own.
Okay.
Yeah.
And Mr. Chairman, just one clarification on those co-ops that are only existing when there's a student athlete participating, correct?
Correct. The other question and the other piece that I should have included, I apologize, is that this co-op does not change the competition class, so it doesn't change the opportunities for our own students, just provides more students to participate in the sport, but the co-op doesn't bump us up into a larger class, making it more difficult for our students to find success.
In this case, we would revisit it if the family continues to participate on a 1 or 2 year basis.
We have to.
Right.
It's the Minnesota State High School League forces us to do it every 2 years for all of our co-ops.
I think for some perspective, we've always said that if we're gonna do it for one, we're gonna do it for all of them. We can't pick and choose, where we're gonna do Fulda for this, but we're not gonna do Adrian or that. And so that's why
Right.
I've always said too, that if we're gonna do one of them, we're gonna co-op with anybody who asks us, if it's within reason, of course.
Well, my question is, this co-oping, we all know our numbers are low in athletics. At what point don't we ask these schools to maybe, I know we'll be looking at going up a class, but I don't think you're that far out from needing to partner with a school district other than Worthington and Fulda. I know they do stuff with here in Lake Okabena now, but I mean, there's Adrian. I just think that's got to be real one of these days, because numbers are a serious concern.
I would like to see a process in place where we actually evaluate what we have for co-ops and how that, if that impacts our own student athletes. I think gymnastics is a little bit different.
It is.
Looking at the numbers here, it's a 60-40 split. Our gymnasts and the co-op gymnasts coming in. I don't know. Would we be able to field 6 more gymnasts out of our community? Do we have student athletes that no longer think there's a place for them on the team if we bring in athletes from other schools? I mean, I would love to see a process where we actually look at that and not just look at the numbers, but look at what the impact is for our own student athletes. And this is a really good team, right? They go to state. There's very little competition when they go to regionals. Do we have our own student athletes that don't get a trip in the all-round or on the balance beam because they've been displaced from the lineup? I don't know. I would like to see us look at that because our priority should still be our student athletes first.
And I think that was some of the talks in the past, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, Lori, is we're losing out on some serious dollars by them not being students in the district.
Yeah. I mean, that's
We
the
don't
option,
make
right?
enough
Enroll
off
here.
co-oping to offset what we're losing as a student, so.
And I think there's a balance between making sure that we prioritize participation among students who are students in our district, and then the possibility of winning and, just trying to basically recruit really, really good athletes. And of course, like, we as a district love to win, like, that's great. But I, on the spectrum, I lean more towards the philosophy of participation of students who are students in our district.
Yeah, just something to keep in mind in the future. We should probably have some discussions about it. Anyways, do we have a motion to approve the cooperative agreement with FOLDA?
Move to approve.
Motion by Matt, do we have a second?
Second.
Seconded by Ann, is there any further discussion?
Well, I think it's also worth noting that the gymnastics program is unique because this is a swag youth program. Our varsity gymnastics is awesome because we have an outstanding youth program. And that is exemplified in the continuous appearance at the state tournament. And I think that a lot of the youth don't see if they're a Trojan or a Dragon or a Raider. They're a part of the gymnastics program. And I would hope that competitiveness encourages everybody else to get better. That's what this is about, in my opinion. And that's trust I have in our coach and our activities directors as to how we're handling and satisfying the needs of our student athletes as we welcome new students to participate.
But the co-op definitely helps the gymnastics team and their success. Not every sport has that opportunity.
Absolutely.
So there's a lot to say about it, I agree. Okay, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign.
Aye.
Motion passes. Okay, 5.12, approve resolution adopting long-term facilities maintenance plan for fiscal year 28 and authorizing the issuance and sale of general obligations facilities maintenance bonds. Ryan.
Cup of TV, Joel. Okay, here's our timeline of this. We're doing it a month early so we can get the stuff to the state so they can approve it faster so we can get the funding for all these projects. So here we are, June 16th. Board approves projects. Next step, we have to gather the rest of the narratives. I'm working with Jeff on this. We'll hopefully have that done and sent to the state next week, mid to late August. Receive approval from MDE. And then Baird prices the bonds in September. And then October, we award and have a resolution and a bond closing settlement, and then hopefully get the funds November 2nd. Okay? So let's go to the plan. and give a printout, but it's hard to read. So on this first column right here is our, all of our expenses that are happening right now this year. Up top, health and safety, and then there's your phase 1 prairie roof, and then your money coming in down here, and then you got a rolling fund balance total. We'll have just under $1 million at the end of the year. And you can see our new funding source coming in fall of '27 here. This is your prairie roof, costs, phase 2, and then your high school, along with your 28, 29, 30 levy and aid. We are switching to a bond to, basically get more state aid is what we're trying to do here. And we would get that in '27, and then we have Jeff's projects along with the prairie roof and 20% of high school roof. And you can see our rolling totals year to year. In '28, we have our normal general fund balance of 1.8 million plus your construction fund balance of yet $1 million yet. So after our projects yet, we still have $2.8 million in our fund balance. And this construction balance we need to spend by 2030. And then you can see increased revenues here of your LTFM fund coming back in 2031 the normal way. Here, I'll break it out better on a spreadsheet. So here's your fund balance to start the year. Here's our normal LTFM fund balance we're getting in now in this fall. Here's our new funding. Here's your prairie roof. Here's your high school roof costs. Here's your total window replacement for the high school doors, prairie windows, RTUs, and your light pole. So total construction cost, $8.8 million. And then your fund balance after the 2 years is over, it's still $2.8 million. New funding lever for the LTFM. We're splitting the cost of the construction 50-50, 27-28. This is happening next summer, we just talked about. We don't exactly know how they're gonna bill us, so it's tier tasks between years. So we're just doing 50-50 for now. Hopefully we know more next spring, we can update this. So after the construction project's 2.8 million after 2028.
Okay, any further questions for Ryan? If not, I need a motion for that long wording on 5.12. Do I have a motion?
So
Move to
moved.
approve the resolution.
Motion by Matt, seconded by Ann. Any further discussion? Is this roll call? Yeah.
Roll call.
Ms. Studley. Aye. Ms. Agard.
Aye.
Ms. Shooty.
Aye.
Ms. Mills.
Aye.
Mr. Bloom.
Aye.
Mr. Parrish.
Aye.
Mr. Widboom.
Aye.
Motion passes. Okay, 5.13, approved a call for proposals for food service management vendor. Carmen?
As I had mentioned, we are asking to go out for proposals, seeking information and requests for a contracted food service company to come in and manage our food service for the school years. In summer, they would take over all of our, that whole process, including staffing.
Carmen, just to clarify, this is a 1 year
Yep.
It's a one-year stopgap because of the timing of the summer and because we don't have time to go out for a formal RFP. Carmen's requesting a one-time state authority to enter into a contract without doing the full RFP. We would do that for the school year, and then next year, with the timing being more allowable, go out for a traditional RFP for a more long-term partner. Could still be the same partner, but we'd have to enter into the more formal process.
The state can decide to give us approval to continue it after we go through this year. Our timeline, usually we would start in January with this, and then we'd go through and be ready to go July 1st. They're allowing us, basically, our proposal would be due July 15th, and we'd have a pre-proposal meeting on July 8th. So we're kind of squeezing that all together pretty quickly, and that's kind of what the state is giving us that approval to speed that process up. So we would have someone in place for August 1st. We're still kind of having conversations about how we're going to cover July. If we have an agreement with our current director and she can maybe just manage that remotely because she is planning on moving out of town, or if we can do that internally somehow, we're still kind of working through that, what July will look like.
And Carmen, after this year, then most of those contracts then would be a 2-year contract with a food service management company.
Yes,
That rolls
yeah.
over 2 years.
Yeah, and then we can always review it, and we always have that in there. Either party can decide to end it.
Okay, do we have a motion for proposals for food service management?
So moved.
Motion by Lori, do I have a second?
Second.
Seconded by Ann. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Okay, 6.0 reports, superintendent's report.
All right, Chairman Bloom, I'm going to do this a little differently tonight. I've got some notes here. But with all the things that have gone on, I wanted to provide a few public thank yous this evening. The first group of them are all centered around support that's been provided to us through a number of organizations in regard to the project that's happening on the Old West property and the construction of the new softball field. And so wanted to publicly again thank the Minnesota Soybean Research and Promotion Council for their financial contribution to the turf. We also want to thank the Minnesota Soybean Processors out of Brewster. They are also a financial partner of support in that project. And then we've gotten a handful of new ones here in the last handful of days. Excuse me. And so I wanted to publicly thank the Nobles County Corn and Soybean Growers for their donation. We also got a donation this last week from the Worthington Area Healthcare Foundation. It's important to note that that donation was both for the facility, but they'd also like to see us use some of the funds that they're providing to continue to develop the green space that's to the north. They really liked the conversation that I was able to have with them with the proposal of both having the softball field there for athletic use and community use, but also the open use of that green space to the north. And so we're going to utilize some of those funds to ensure that we have soccer fields that are mowed and that are irrigated and put infrastructure there in the kind of the center hub of the city. They were really excited about that. And then lastly, wanted to call out and thank our own high school ag department as well as the ag department over at Minnesota West for their partnership on the ag lab. And I call that out specifically because we did profit a little bit on that land when we harvested the crop off that field. And so we're going to dedicate a chunk of those profits and the work of our students and the Minnesota West students and the staff at both of those sites to the soy turf that will go on to the new athletic field. And so you will see a storyboard when that facility is all done next spring. And we've already been telling these partners to be prepared for a first pitch. We're going to line them up along the pitcher's mound in April or May of next year and kick that new facility off with the highlights of all the people that were a part of the project. Last thank you on that project really does also need to go to the city of Worthington and the work that they're doing by getting rid of the road, putting the new concession stand, the new parking lots, the new restrooms in that space. I'm trying really hard not to drive by every day, because when you drive by every day, it doesn't look like a lot. But I was gone for a week, drove by Sunday, and it was eye-opening to see how much they can do in a week. So I'm trying to stay away, so I can be a little more in awe each time I go by. My second thank yous, I've tried really hard to show my gratitude for the opportunity I've been afforded to be here. Was able to do that at the end of year breakfast with our staff and with our board members. It honestly, it feels like yesterday I was sitting in the corner of the band room watching Superintendent Langard's last meeting, thinking I couldn't believe I was going to sit in that chair, and now that year is up and I'm here. And so I've said thank you to many of you here sitting in the room, some of our teaching staff that's here, but also wanted to publicly thank the community and the way that you've welcomed me and my family back. It's been truly an honor to be here, and I hope that hope I could continue the work. I'm proud of the work that our team's been able to do over the course of the last year, and so I'm eager to get started into year number 2. So thank you again, and that's my report this month.
Okay, thanks, Joel. 6.2, Instructional Committee.
All been covered.
Good, okay. 6.3, Operations Committee.
Covered, Mr. Chairman.
All right, thanks. Any other reports from anybody? Hearing none. 7.0, Other Business. Did you-
I do have one piece of other business. Did want to provide the board a quick update in regard to the ice arena project that you had given direction to our team to continue conversation with the city of Worthington on what that project could potentially look like. We have had multiple conversations with Jeff and his SiteLogic team around what a project could look like. Wanted to provide update that we have given some parameters on costing of that facility with different steps of amenities that we can add to, should the board and should the city council decide to do that. I wanted to throw out a date to our operation committee for consideration, and that is July 9th. We don't have to decide at this moment, but potentially looking to move our operation committee meeting up 4 days to July 9th. Jeff's team may have something to share, and I'm going to be gone the week after. And so I would like to be a part of that conversation, having been part of the other ones. And so looking to potentially propose July 9th, normal meeting time at the district office. You can let me know if that works for each of you or not. And if not, we can look at some other potential dates. But if we have something to share, we'd like to get it to committee potentially in July and not wait a whole nother month until August. So that was my future business, or excuse me, other business.
Okay. Future business. I don't know. Are we ever having need a work session for anything? Are we good?
Not at the moment, as we continue to work through some of our other.
So maybe this fall or
Correct.
winter? Okay.
Correct.
Okay. All right, other than that, meeting is adjourned.